All right, we're back with another all-star panel, the Roundtable number 58. Really good weekend of boxing. Two big lightweight matchups. We had Devin Haney versus Jojo Diaz, Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz. A lot of mixed reviews on both these fights. Some people said Haney and Davis looked good. Other people weren't too impressed. I'd love to hear the panel's take on this. Let's start with you, Maestro.
Well, which fight should I start with? I guess I'll start with the Tank fight, right? It was interesting to me. I was in Vegas. I was walking around everywhere trying to find a sports bar that was showing it. It's funny that, according to Leonard Ellerby, nobody watches the zone. We don't know how to watch it. Devin Haney can't be a star because he's been mismanaged by Eddie Hearn. No one knows what the zone is. I'm walking up and down the Las Vegas Strip with my wife looking for where to watch the Tank Davis fight. Nobody was showing it. I ended up having to watch the shit on my phone, sitting at a bar with the shit like right in front of me on the table. It was crazy. So I'm very interested to see how these numbers do, because even the sports books at the Aria, at the MGM Grand, none of them were showing the fight. Now, if you wanted me to talk about the X's and O's and the tactics and all of that, Joe, Tank Davis didn't look very impressive against a guy who, for once, was smaller than him. He was getting touched up. Even his biggest shots weren't really landing 100%. Like, some of them were landing 60, 70%. You could see it live. You wouldn't know it by listening to the Showtime crew. But even on the replays, they were capping and acting like these were clean shots when they were landing on Cruz's, on his shoulder, on his gloves. It was quite interesting to me, that aspect. I think he won the fight. Tank did, that is. But it was by no means an impressive performance to me at all. And it by no means is indicative of his status as one of the best lightweights in the world. Does he beat Kambosos off of that win? No. Does he beat Haney off of that win? No. Does he beat Lomachenko off of that win? Absolutamente no. Let's move on to Haney. A good performance. I thought Jojo brought it. I thought Jojo was too undersized, honestly, for Haney, who's a big lightweight. Jojo's a small lightweight. He did close the gap. He did land punches, but they weren't hard enough, honestly. I was sitting there like pretty much ringside to really hurt Devin Haney, even when they did land. And in the rounds where he did do well, and there were about 3 of them, the other rounds where he did well, Devin Haney just did better. I had Devin Haney winning that fight 117, 111, although Jojo was very, very competitive, even in the close rounds. And people say, Maestro, it was a robbery. No, it wasn't a robbery, guys. There was a couple people in my chat saying that. I interviewed Roberto Diaz from Golden Boy, and he had Devin Haney winning the fight. So, win by Haney. I think he's definitely a premier lightweight. Win by Tank. A lot of question marks. He's an enigma. Is he a 130? Is he a 135? Where is he most competitive? These are all open-ended questions as far as I'm concerned. And I'll throw it to everybody else on the panel because, as you said, we've got an all-star panel, so I want to hear what everybody else thinks.
D, what did you think of these 2 fights this weekend, brother?
Well, first of all, happy birthday to the Beeb. That's number one.
Birthday.
Happy birthday to you, brother.
Thank you, D.
Right?
Happy birthday, Beebs.
Thank you, brother.
He's trying to sneak out of this show without people knowing it's his birthday. It's okay. I just put it out there. You know what I mean? You can't ignore the super chat. It is what it is, But with that said, all right, with that said, look, I thought Devin Haney looked good. Personally, I think this was a step up for him, and he looked solid. I mean, that's the best way I could describe it. He looked solid in there. I thought Jojo did better than people give him credit for, right? I thought he was catching a lot of those shots. This was the weekend of nobody appreciates the high guard week. It just was. He was catching a lot of those shots. Haney was not peppering him or dominating him all night. This was a classic case of he's just edging him out round after round after round. And it's going to look maybe white on a scorecard, but when you when you look at the fight, it's like those NBA series that go 5 games, but they all came down to the wire, like that. Like, you know what I mean? So that's what it felt like to me. I gave JoJo about 4 rounds or so. He did his thing. So shout out to Devin Haney. He passed the test. It wasn't an A, but I'll give him a B plus. Solid B plus.
Ring, over to you. What did you think, brother?
I'm with Maestro. I think Tank is an enigma. He's had 2 fights at lightweight, so I don't know what the hell he is, because the first fight was Gamboa. The second fight was Isaac Cruz. Neither one of you have fought the Comeys of the world, the Campbells of the world, the Emmanuel Tagos of the world. You're not fighting the premier lightweights. They're keeping you in a bubble, and I'm not going to say they're keeping Isaac in a bubble. He hasn't had the chance to fight, the best guys that are there. He's a short notice opponent. So what I saw from Tank was, I like Maestro think, yeah, Tank did enough, but he looked like shit, and they're hiding something. And if you watch these fights in sequence, the Santa Cruz fight, to the Barrios fight, to the Cruz fight, he's getting hit more and more fight by fight. He's getting hit more and more. He's wincing more and more, and he's looking less spectacular more and more. Isaac Cruz is a phenomenally small fucking lightweight. He looked like a hobbit. He's tiny. If your name is Tank, why you the one on your back foot? We need to call Isaac Tank, because he the one that never stopped coming forward. You was going backwards. You was skating. Tanks don't skate. Tanks don't go backwards, and they don't go sideways. So I wasn't impressed with Tank. I like how Devin boxed, though I don't know if he's solid there anymore, because Devin is not a small lightweight. Devin is actually generous proportions for 135. And I'm getting a feeling that it might be time for him to move up very soon. I saw the body shots. I didn't like how he reacted to the body shots. I saw him in a shell. I think he got hit with a left hook on the chin. It grazed him. I didn't like how he reacted to that punch. I think what happened to Teofimo, that he may have stayed at 135 too long, I think Devin's getting to that point to where, like, yo, dog, if you're not going to be in a big fight next, you need to go up, because you can't keep making this weight. He's not a small lightweight like Isaac Cruz or even Gervonta Davis. Devin, he'll fit right in at 40, and it might be time for him to go there.
Shout out to Chauncey Pearls. He said, "What club you going tonight, Beeb? Got your birthday." Thank you, brother. No more clubs for the Beeb, man. They don't want 52-year-old men in clubs anymore, man. Corey, what'd you think of your man Tank this weekend and Devin Haney, brother?
Hey, first off, I want to say what's up to everybody on the panel, everybody in the chat, man. This is Corey Lee Boxing from the DMV. You already know how we coming out here, man. Tank is from pretty much, from my neck of the woods, so it's just one of those things. Like, I've seen him spar, and a lot of people don't know, but Tank Davis for a little while now has been having hand problems. A lot of people don't talk about that. And I've seen him hit the mitts before and actually say he has to stop hitting the mitts because his hands are hurting. So you got to understand, Tank Davis, it's kind of under wraps. A lot of people don't talk about it, but when they said he had a hand injury, to me personally, it didn't come as a surprise. So it was just like, wow, they're actually gonna put that out there. We all know that his predecessor and his mentor Floyd Mayweather's Jr. has infamous hand problems. So, I really think that Mayweather is very, very vital to Gervonta Davis's career and making him learn how to maneuver his skills without knocking everybody out. So I just really truly feel that, Tank Davis can and will be, a premier, if not the best at 135, but definitely, putting asses in seats, for right now. But as far as his performance, it was iffy, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was iffy at best. Tank Davis normally, fights front foot going forward. And I just really feel like this time he respected Isaac Cruz a little bit too much. I don't know if it was because of his hard sparring that he had. He had another Mayweather for his sparring in his camp. He had Jaleel Hatchett, which is from 10 minutes from where I'm from, and it's just like he's an up and coming Mayweather prospect that a lot of people need to watch out for. And that the only other prospect on all the TMT's fighters, he only names Jaleel Hatchett and Tank Davis. So I just really think he's the goods. And he was one of Gervonta Davis's lead sparring partners leading up into this camp. So I don't know if that kind of had him on ease, because you got to understand, a lot goes on in sparring, and I feel like that translates to the fights. So, it was an iffy performance. I really truly think that Gervonta could have did a lot better. But Isaac Cruz is a tough cookie, man. And I think he'll be tough for a lot of people out there, but I feel like people like Devin Haney can use his range and keep him at bay. Gervonta Davis doesn't have the luck of the draw of long arms, so he's got to deal with what he's got, That's me though, you guys. So that's all I got to say about that.
Shout out to Teresa D. She says, happy birthday, Beep. Thank you so much. I got to make an interesting point, because usually punchers, they tend to have hand problems, right? But we talked about Deontay Wilder. I know Maestro and D-Style, we talked about him changing those gloves at the last minute, right? And everyone loves those, those horsehair gloves. They think they're the best things in sliced bread when it comes to punches, but they're not really good protective gloves. So if you look and you remember, Tank was going to use those boxing is life gloves, right? But until Floyd said, nah, you can't wear those. You can't wear those. So the last minute, what's he do? Changes the gloves. And we predicted that would be a problem for Wilder, because the last time he used horsehair gloves was in the Areola fight. Broke his right hand, tore his right bicep tendon, just like a pair of sneakers. You're used to running ball in a pair of sneakers. All of a sudden, you're going to switch up. You like Nikes, and then you're going to start wearing Adidas. You're going to get blisters, right? Tank switched up gloves at the last minute. He wanted to use those other gloves. That could have contributed to the hand problems. I will give him credit, though, for changing up the game plan. I had the fight 115, 113 for Cruz. I thought it was a razor close fight. Could have been a draw. But I do like the way Tank adjusted and adapted later in the fight. He did do some good work off his back foot. But Ring made a great point. When you're seeing this little guy, 5'4", backing up the bigger guy, the stockier guy, the thicker guy, the guy who's perceived to be the more intimidating, the more aggressive, the harder, more dangerous puncher, it is kind of a sight to see, right? I mean, it's not something you're used to seeing. So maybe Isaac Cruz was better than we thought, or maybe Tank may not be as good as we think. It could be a balance of both here, right? And I made a statement before, when you continue to fight a certain level of opposition, how do you raise your game? You hear the old saying, iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel. And I know Leonard Elby doesn't like to hear this, but the kid is 27, closing in on 28, right? He's turning the corner. He needs to start up in this opposition, because if he takes on
progress.
Well, D-Star, you made the tweet. I mean, he's a work in progress at 27.
Yeah, but he's not. He shouldn't be a work in progress at this stage, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make.
Oh.
And when he does make that jump up, he could get a rude awakening. So that's the problem.
I want to add something
at 23.
Go ahead, Ring.
I want to add this, that if you think about what the initial plan was, you go from Leo Santa Cruz, who I'll call a B-, and I feel like I'm being generous saying that, but B- fighter. You
at
go from
for sure
at 130. You go from a B- to a C at 140 in Barrios, because Barrios had not proven himself, and most of the people that saw Barrios saw him lose to that Russian guy that he fought, that he got a gift in that fight. So you go from a B- to a C to Rolly, who really is a D. Like, he's a D. Like, he sucks. He sucks. Lucky for you, Rolly get the sex shit. The sex shit happens with the sex, and you fight Isaac. But I don't know what Isaac is. That's my thing.
Me neither.
Isaac might have looked all right. But what if Isaac go in there with, say, Jojo Diaz next fight, hypothetically speaking, looks like absolute shit? The most I know about Isaac is he's from Mexico City, at high altitude. Lots of the fighters out there, they could punch for fucking days because they're high altitude. That's the only thing I know about him. Aside from that, what's his body of work? And why does Tank, Mr. fucking Tank, pound for pound, whatever, right? Why he look like that with this little nondescript cat? I think about all these other fighters that are put under scrutiny. Canelo Alvarez, for example, he can't go in there with a nondescript guy and look like that. He can't. There's no way. Crawford. They're giving him hell for Igis Kavaliauskas dropping him, and I do consider it a knockdown, but they give him hell for that. And I'm like, yo, Igis is a 2-time Olympian, but y'all give him hell for that. But Davis could be on the back foot all night with a hobbit from the Shire. Nah, come on, B. Keep the same energy, man. He looked bad. I think he won, but I think he looked bad. Because if you're not...
Sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
No. Go ahead.
No, I also think he won, but as I said, take that with a grain of salt, because I was walking all over the Vegas Strip looking to watch this fight. I ended up watching it in a loud ass bar where people were watching other shit, trying to focus on it by watching my phone and trying to focus on the fight through biased Showtime commentary. So take my view of the fight with a huge grain of salt. But with no disrespect, I don't have any real interest in rewatching the fight. So excuse me for that. We do have other boxing that we're going to talk about that's happening this weekend. But yeah, look, where does Tank Davis go? I mean, when you take this route to stardom, to legacy, if you want to call it that, you are setting yourself up for a loss against a low-tier opponent. Yes. As opposed to being in competitive fights, even losses against high-caliber elite competition. I would much rather lose to an elite guy like Josh Taylor than potentially to an Isaac Cruz level guy. But that's just me.
Shout out to Chicano Prophet. I think he's wishing me a happy birthday with those little party favors there. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. I think we got another.
Hey, I want to add something here about the Tank Davis thing. So, look, Tank Davis went from I hurt my hand because he's so short. You know, he's a short guy, and I'm not used to fighting short guys. To I came into the fight with a hurt hand. They're like, well, so did he come in with a hurt hand, or did you hurt it because he's a short guy? Because you're changing your story there a little bit, and then we have them playing like Floyd is doing everything possible to just like discount Isaac Cruz. Like he called him the guy. He literally said Tank won 8 rounds easy, and the other guy won 4. You know, but the judge is scoring 116, 112. Floyd is the same fucking thing. You fucking stupid blithering idiot. Learn how to do math. That's number 1. Learn the name of the dude that was the opponent of he was the opponent of a fight you're promoting, and you're calling him the guy, the other dude, the Mexican guy. Like that. That's not how you talk about that shit, dude. That's some retarded ass shit. And that was a tough fight for Tank. They know it's a tough fight for Tank. That's why now he's saying he went into the fight with a hurt hand. Oh, really? Is that so? I'm sure you did. And then we have Floyd scolding media just for asking, oh my God, hey Tank, why do you think he gave you such a tough fight? Right? So Floyd is saying, Floyd and Tank are scolding the reporter, but then we have Leonard Allerby, whose spine has to be broken because he's been patting himself in the back. Okay, like, oh, I told you guys it was going to be a tough fight. I told you guys. And now you're shocked. You're shocked. I'm not shocked. I knew it was going to be tough. Okay, so who's telling the truth? Is Leonard Allerby lying? Or is Floyd Mayweather lying? Okay, because you're both call yourself the promoter, and you're telling 2 fucking different stories, okay? There's heads and tails here, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm saying.
Now, I'm gonna say I want to add to D Styles' point and everybody's point that he's had 2 fights in the lightweight division, and technically both of them have gone the distance. Technically, you needed 12 rounds for a Yuriorkis Gamboa that had a torn Achilles tendon. That should not have taken that long. There's no way it should have taken that long. You go in there with Isaac, and God bless Isaac, but I don't know what he is. I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying I don't know. And you couldn't knock him out. And the way I feel is like, you know what? You're not a Tank, bro. This is what Isaac makes you do. This is how Isaac makes you look. So what happens if we put even this version of Lomachenko? What happens if we put you in there with him? What happens if we put you in there with Richard Comey? Do you end up like Marinez? Marinez looks sensational on PBC with Rolly. He looked amazing. He looked like a child prodigy. They let him go over there to Top Rank. He gets his ass beat. It's not a coincidence. It's the reason that in terms of matchups, PBC and Top Rank are 2-16. Out of that rivalry, PBC has only won 2, and Top Rank has beaten them 16 times. So what I'm thinking is, you know what? God bless Isaac and his family, and I hope he has success. But I don't believe because you make Tank look like that, you're elite. Because he's not elite. He's not proven to be elite at this weight. So you're probably not elite either. Just because you make him look bad. Hey, Gerald Washington made Wilder look bad, but he ain't elite because of that.
Julius, you're forgetting something, and excuse me, you know, I don't have a bald head, okay, and I'm not wearing the stunner shades, but nobody's ever heard of Lomachenko. No one's ever heard of Isaac Comey. They don't have names, yo. They're not big enough or famous enough to fight Tank Davis. Come on, yo.
No,
But obviously he's at Cruz's, right?
Now, Pete Game, that Leonard let the cat out of the bag, or at least he confirmed something that I've been thinking for at least a year. They can't make those fights because they can't afford those fights. You can't pay Devin Haney peanuts. That guy got paid $3 million fucking for Linares. He's not going to fight on the cheap. All you can afford is Mario Barrios and Isaac Cruz. Hell, when you fought Leo Santa Cruz, he got more money up front than Davis did. He got 1.5. Davis got 1. That was on the commission sheet. So with
Davis
that,
got 1 on Sunday too.
Here's the thing, too, though. Like, people ask why these fights on pay-per-view, because Showtime doesn't have enough money to put it on regular Showtime, so they have to put them on pay-per-view because then the guarantees are less money, and it's more money. Less money than Showtime has to put up. It's not a benefit, you know, for show. Like, it's not a benefit really for the fighters per se, because they're going to be getting around the same anyways, because the pay-per-views aren't going to do a lot of money. You know, they roughly pay him $5 million a fight. That, so they say. So the only reason why this is happening is because Showtime doesn't have any more money left in the budget, and they have to put these on pay-per-view because they can't pony up the money for the guarantees. They just can't. The money's not left. There's no money left.
And that's what's going on. Well, Fox has, we know that Fox is a major network. Then they do have a lot of money, but they're not going to give it to you guys.
No.
Not for no Luis fucking Ortiz. Not for no fucking Keith Thurman. Like, y'all crazy. Like, now y'all better, I hope your fans buy the shit because we ain't going to give you that shit. Shit.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump over. Let me just shout out Boxing Days for this super chat. He says, cheers to the beep. Thank you so much. Let's switch topics here now. Ring, I know you were ahead of this for the longest time. This Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos fight has been cursed from the beginning. I know you've been talking about it. You were way ahead of it. And a lot of people were like, wow, yeah, $6 million. Trilla, yeah, great move, whatever. But, you know, you made a great point. You know, hindsight's 2020 now. But that was being short-sighted because, again, you know, we found out that he was having problems really making 135. He needed to go up to 140 ASAP, right? Now we heard about this pneumomediastinum that he's been diagnosed with after the fight. And I've been doing some research on pneumomediastinum, and there's 2 ways that you can get it. One is by chest trauma. That's number 1. And number 2 is through recreational drugs. So about 2 or 3 weeks before the fight, what was Teofimo Lopez doing with a 300-pound mountain of a man, letting him punch him where? In the fucking chest.
In the chest.
So I don't like to kick anyone when they're down. I don't. But this has just been one ridiculous move after another. You know, listening to his father, listening to him. He was saying, oh, my throat was swollen the day before the fight. I thought it was my asthma. Dude, I had childhood asthma growing up. You have asthma. I had asthma, Maestro, growing up as well. Has that ever been one of your symptoms, a swollen neck? I mean, if my neck is swollen, that's some serious business. I'm going to the fucking hospital. So why he didn't go to the hospital immediately when his neck was swollen, he was having problems breathing, is beyond me. Now, the big question is, should he have just pulled out of this fight? Because once again, he was already compromised trying to make 135, right? I know they're saying they needed money. There was $20,000 to his name. So obviously they took the fight for the money. But now you end up losing this fight. Moving forward, you're going to drop down. You know, the pay scale is going to go down significantly now. So once again, this was a short-sighted move, right? Yeah. You should have probably pulled out of this fight, just moved up to 140 and just started from scratch. Because
I think he painted himself into a corner. They gave him an option. They gave him an option a few months ago to do the fight in Australia. Now, I'm not going to say he would have knocked George out because I'm not going to shit on George. George stayed a consummate professional throughout all of this, stayed ready, stayed focused. So I'm not going to diminish his victory. But what I'm going to say is, okay, you should have at least went to Australia. Your ego did not allow you to go to Australia. You could have made the money that you wanted to make out there, but I guess you were afraid that if it goes to the cards, you won't win. You know what? You shot yourself in the foot to begin with this whole fucking thing. This was never supposed to take this long. You were struggling to make 135 before you fought Lomachenko. You were already struggling to make that weight. Why would you prolong it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why didn't you, if anything, the smart thing to have done, which I think in hindsight would have been even more smart than just letting Top Rank do it, is drop the belts, move up now. Drop the belts, move up now.
That's it. That's it. Because, they wanted the quick money, right? But now you got that quick money. He was probably already, if he had $20,000 to his name, who knows how much he's in hack. So that money is going to be gone now, right? So now you got that loss. You burnt so many bridges. Nobody's going to do you any favors. You think you can go back to Top Rank? He's going to do you any favors? Nah, because you burnt so many bridges right now. So I know hindsight's 2020. We could say all this now, but if he pulled out of that fight, at least he would still have that status of being undefeated. I was undisputed. I can go up to 140, and I would have not as much leverage as they think they had, but a lot more leverage than they're going to have now. Because
we have to blame David McWater. Like, yes, I know that Teo, because I don't care about his father. I don't care about David, but I read all that shit. I read the stuff Boxing Scene printed an article, kind of broke my heart a little bit for that kid. Yeah. That it's like he's sad and he hiding it, and he going through a divorce with his chick that he married not that long ago. I know that was fucking with him.
2-year marriage over.
His dad is a maniac that is not helping the situation. So I hope he could come back from it. But if we're gonna blame somebody, let's blame the guy that told Charles Conwell, pull out of that card so that you could fight on this card, only for this card to get postponed months and months and months and months. The advice I see that set all of these events in motion has to be from David McWater. It has to be him.
I don't disagree with that at all, Ring, but it's funny because I hate it when weight bullies use the excuse of weight. It's like your dad's out there talking about how big you are and you're really a welterweight, but okay, well then you can't really start complaining when you're having trouble making the weight. Like, your advantage is also a disadvantage. I didn't hear you complaining about the weight when you're whooping on undersized opponents that were brought up to look like cannon fodder from lower weight classes. All right, but now that you had weight issues for a unified championship fight, mind you, all of a sudden we're supposed to be crying tears. Like, no. And then this whole thing about the $20,000, I mean, for months I've been hearing interview after interview, post after post, reading it, where it's like he's a combination of like Sue Orman giving financial advice and Tony Robbins giving like motivational speeches about how he doesn't spend his money on jewelry or on cars and on all this other stuff. So where the fuck the money go then? I mean, like, you're there talking about Devin Haney and how he's wasting his money. I mean, maybe you should have been looking at your own pockets and balance sheets. And as far as I'm concerned, if the injury was so bad, then why did you go into the fight with it? Your dad should have pulled you out of the fight, period. He's your trainer. He must have seen how you were doing in sparring. He must have seen how you were doing for the weight cut. I mean, it's just calamity after calamity after calamity. Like, so much fat needs to be cut from that team. It's like ridiculous. Okay, they need a whole reworking of that organization, which we, I guess, can call the takeover. Although Kambosos definitely took over. I'm there for it. Somebody else needs to take over the takeover, is what I'm trying to say. And I want to hear from D-Style about this next, because I know he's got a lot to say about it.
Yeah, go ahead, D.
I do believe that this is partially true. I think there was something there. But I also believe that this is partially damage control. I do believe that. Okay? Like, I do believe, you know what? I did have this thing, so hey. And then the story comes out on ESPN, and then Aram comes out and he's saying that Kambosos ain't shit. Like a couple of days later, like that's a little way to give it away, Bob. Okay, and I don't want to hear like, oh, well, Kriegel put out the story. Yeah, Kriegel's the same dude that said that Virgil Ortiz was trying to duck, Crawford, and the matchmaker Top Rank to said, well, we never tried to make that fight. You know what I mean? So, like, there's something going on. Like, to me, I think it's partially true, but I think it's being vastly overstated. Like, if any professional boxer goes to the ring where if they just punch you in the chest, you could die, right? Like, it's a miracle that he's alive. Give me a fucking break. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Give me a break. It's a miracle. Like, I just don't buy that. Do I believe it was maybe dangerous? Maybe not something that will be recommended or something like that? Sure, okay? But I don't want to hear what a doctor said. You could ask 10 doctors. Like, just ask them. Like, they don't know much about boxing. We just ask them. Like, hey, doc, so would you recommend a dude with asthma to be fighting? At least 3 or 4 of them are going to say, no, with asthma, box? You're crazy, right? So it's not that out of the crazy that a doctor said, man, it's a miracle that he survived. Like, get the fuck out. I don't think it was a miracle that he survived. I don't think it played that big of a factor in the fight as people are making it out to be. I think it's a clever way to do damage control and take away from Kambosos, who won the fight fair and square. Okay, took it to him, had a great performance, and that's it. That's how I feel about it, to be honest.
I want to add to D-Styles thing. I guess the reason that I kind of believe that the injury might have been affecting him is how he came out in the first round. He came out like a fucking maniac. Like, I want to go home and I want to go home early. And that's kind of why I feel like, you know what, maybe the injury, the chest air, whatever the shit, maybe the shit was real. And that's why he came out all retarded like that. Like, bro, you coming out looking for the knockout. That's one of the main things they tell you not to do. You coming out crazy, throwing all sorts of wild punches. What happened? You lucky you ain't get knocked out in the first round the way that you came out. That's what kind of makes me believe that the injury was real and that it was affecting him, in the sense that, okay, this is a guy who I see, he wants to go home early. Something's fucking with him. He wants to go home early. I don't know what's fucking with him, but he obviously wants to go home early if he's gonna do all that crazy shit. To me, he lucky he ain't get knocked out in the first round. Because I'm like, yo, what is he doing?
I mean, the only time you do that is when you're losing a fight and you need to win by knockout, essentially. That's not a strategy in the first round of a championship fight. But it could also be the fact that, he does gas later in fights. And if he is a guy coming down from a heavy weight that needs to cut weight, that obviously does play into your stamina. And George Kambosos Jr. was saying it going into the fight, like, this dude, he doesn't look like he's ready for this physically. He's going to fade. It was like he was telling him the truth in his face the entire lead up to the fight. And maybe that got into his head. But here's the thing. We've heard it so many times when people cite injuries after fights. If it was that bad that it would cost you the win, then you shouldn't have gone in with it in the first place.
Yeah,
I agree.
But here's the thing. It like D-Style did make a great point. I also did some research on it, and no one ever said it was life-threatening. So that's questionable whether it's life-threatening or not.
Well, it's a miracle that he survived. I think that's
and
great.
he did get hit in the area close to his, you're not going to tell me he didn't get hit in the chest the whole fight.
Yeah.
That's fucking impossible, first of all. Shout out to Long Live Boxing. It says much respect to Beeb, the panel, the entire chat. Really great boxing conversation tonight. Make sure you all hit the like and subscribe button to the channel. Thank you so much for that one. I think we got another
hashtag HCP.
Hashtag HCP. That's right. Man in the Water says Teo is a one-hit wonder. Well, we'll see. I think I won't be honest with you. I don't think he's ever going to be the same.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
I do.
I think given the state of 140 pounds, you really have to think about it and just use your imagination. And I've been saying this before the Kambosos fight. Regis Progrerius beats Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
He beats him. Josh Taylor beats him. Jose Zapata is not to be trifled with. He's proven that.
I pick him.
Barboza.
I didn't know did he beat Victor Postal? Look who the guys that Victor Postal has lost to. That's a big, tall guy for 140. He's tricky. He's not
here's
an
my
easy guy
problem.
for anybody.
Here's my problem, and I've always said this. A questionable, damaged character can undermine all the talent in the world, and I just think he's very mentally fragile.
Not only that, Joe, it's as simple as this. He was the unified, arguably undisputed champion at 135. Yeah. When you say get back, is he ever going to do that at 140?
No, he's got a rough road ahead.
There's no way.
Let's let Calix jump in. He's been waiting so patiently. Calix, what are your thoughts on this?
Now, you know what? Let me say something. Explain.
Look, as far as the injury, it's all speculation. I don't really have much to say on that. But stuff happens. It's life. Such is life. You got to deal with it. So I'm already moved past this fight. Teofimo's got to move past this fight, go to 140, and handle business. But I think you're being a little too harsh when you're saying you think he'll never recover from this. You're talking about a guy last year who beat Lomachenko at Lomachenko's own game. He beat him with speed. He beat him with technical ability more than power. Now, I can understand moving up to 140, his power is not going to have as much play as at 135. 140 is a tough division, but you're talking about a guy special fighter. And my kids are walking in the room. Hold on. Y'all go to somebody else.
No, I'll just say this to respond to that real quick. He beat Lomachenko. The Lomachenko fanboys, if we want to use that word, will obviously cite the injury Lomachenko had going into that fight, which I didn't want to use it as an excuse, but
the homosexuals
shit on that as an excuse. And now excuses are coming out of their camp. So I kind of find that ironic that
thank you.
Thank you. I kind of find that ironic. It's like what are we gonna do here?
Can I add to your point, Maestro? I just want to add that look, he beat Lomachenko, and once you step in the ring, you assume the responsibility of whatever happens. That's the way it goes. So there are no excuses to make. My thing is that I see a lot of people don't remember that fight the right way. Yes, Teofimo swept the first half of the fight. I agree. Did he do enough to win? Yeah, I think he did. My thing is, it was competitive towards the end, and he couldn't miss this guy. So when I hear that he outboxed Lomachenko, I really don't agree with that. This guy didn't throw. You sacrificed a lot of rounds. Maybe it's because you were wary of the counter punches. Maybe it's a combination of the counter punches and the shoulder. I don't know. I'm not Lomachenko. But what I know is the rounds that Lopez won, at least for me, that had more to do with what Vasyl Lomachenko is not doing. Whereas the rounds that he won against you, he took those rounds from you. He couldn't miss you. Straight left hand after straight left hand after straight left hand. I'm like, yo, we'll see, now that he's letting his hands go, he's actually landing punches. So my thing with Teofimo, and I've always kind of just looked at him as a bit of an enigma. I'm with D Styles. I think it was D Styles that said it. This guy's a weight bully. You're big for this weight. And you have that. With Maestro, you have that on Vasyl Lomachenko. And it's cool. It's cool. But you won't have that against Josh Taylor. You won't have that against Regis Prograis. You won't have that against Jose Zapata or Arnold Barboza. You won't be the big guy with them. So am I seeing enough boxing from you that I think you could beat them? And I say no. I always thought he was food. Even before everything, I always thought he was food at 140. Even with the Lomachenko and all, you still food, bro. Your best win is a featherweight that moved up to lightweight.
Here's the problem. Oh, go ahead, Calix. You good?
No, I'm sorry about the kids, but possible. All that is probable. I would say at 140, deep division, smaller guy coming up. However, when you look at the Lomachenko fight, the first 7 rounds when Lomachenko was barely throwing, Lomachenko doesn't do that against other guys. So you have to say there was a reason he was doing it against Teofimo. Teofimo was doing stuff to make Lomachenko very shy those first 6 or 7 rounds. Yeah. Okay. And Teofimo does have some things that could pose problems to guys at 140 as far as speed and using angles. So I just don't think we should discount a guy who did something special last year, because we got to remember he was a huge betting underdog against Lomachenko. Huge. We also have to remember that Lomachenko was either 1A or 1B pound for pound at the time. with
true.
Terrence Crawford before Canelo made his big run at 168. So the guy did something special last year, beating Lomachenko, becoming the undisputed champion at 135. So I don't think we can throw him away. But as far as matchups at 140, I have to say, yeah, I would favor somebody, especially my guy Prograis from down here in New Orleans.
Kelly, can I add to the
Jose
point?
Ramirez.
Kelly,
They would
can
pose
I
a lot
add
of
to the
problems for
point?
Teofimo. I would agree.
When he fought Nakatani, right? I lost a lot of faith in him when he fought Nakatani, and that's a fight that he won. Why? Because you went and told your daddy, yo, no more tall guys. And I'm like, what you mean no more tall guys? So when you get up to 40, what you gonna do?
Tall
No,
guy.
can I say something about that Nakatani fight?
Go ahead, Corey.
I was at that Nakatani fight, and I was actually one of the only journalists that asked Teofimo Lopez about his family issues after that fight. And I feel like that played a lot into that fight, particularly that fight. You know, I'm not taking anything away from Nakatani doing what he needed to do and being having good range and, kind of disrupting Teofimo Lopez at times. But I really truly feel after that post fight, and he almost broke down in front of us. If you go to my channel, you'll see the interview. He pretty much, in my eyes, showed me that he's vulnerable, man. His mentality, his mental, and it's just, I truly feel, the more I think about it and the more I look at Teofimo Lopez, he's just been dealt a fucked up, deck of cards, man. And I'm just keeping it honest as I can possibly keep it, man. This guy's father was in his life, but the way he's in his life, is that his father? Yes, he's his father, and yes, he loves Teofimo, but at the end of the day, man, he's got to be his trainer too. That's a hard thing to separate, especially when you have I feel like you have two alpha males, and me and Beeb talked about this on the phone the other day, and I really truly feel that Teofimo Lopez and his father, it's going to be very, very hard to be successful and coexist as a team, And I really, really think that people need to look more into that and their relationship in a way that, it says a lot when another trainer pretty much, discredits, I'm not even going to say discredits, but pretty much calls a spade a spade. Jaron Ennis's father, which is a really good trainer, said, hey, Teofimo Sr. was not giving him any good directions, He was just pretty much just telling him whatever, and it's just like I feel like at the end of the day that has a domino effect, on his life, on his career, and where he goes. I feel like right now, he has to change the things around him for him to be at that top level again, and I 100% agree with that, man.
Well,
I
that's
agree.
Point,
A couple things.
Let D jump in real quick.
A couple of things here.
Let D jump in real quick.
So a couple of things. Look, I'm not. I don't want to minimize a thing any person has gone through. Okay, but for some reason we heighten the sensitivity of things when it's like a big star or something. Okay,
True.
There's people that grew up with no fathers, right? There's people that had more fucked up fathers. You know what I mean? There's people that there's fighters that deal with a lot. Like Kambosos going through shit. Okay. So I get it, but if Teofimo Lopez can't get it together because his girl broke up with him or his family, his mom doesn't like his girlfriend, or it's just the type of shit a lot of us, and but everyone on the planet, everybody. I did not interrupt while you were talking, so let me finish my point. Let me say this. At the end of the day, we all go through shit. So him breaking down in tears on ESPN, I'm not one of those people like pobrecito, he's going through so much, because we all go through shit. We all go through shit. That's not a good, to me, his mental toughness has to be called into question, right? If he's breaking down due to that, right? I just have to. To me, he had his Victor Ortiz moment after the Maidana fight, after this fight. That's what it gave me shades of that. Okay?
That's what I'm saying.
Joe, what was Eric Lorda's reaction to hearing about Sor Rungvisai's fiance breaking up with him?
Oh,
Was there any sympathy about that?
No, he shit it all. He shit it all over.
Was there any sympathy for Sor Rungvisai?
Let me just say this real quick. Let me just
Yeah,
say
I just
this
wanted
real
to say
quick.
one thing too.
This will take 2 minutes. To Corey's point, after that Nakatani fight, I said to myself, well, maybe this is a one-time thing, right? But when you see a pattern, right, it's behavior is proof, right? He's going to be up and down his whole career, in my opinion. And if you've been with your dad 20 years, right?
That's what I'm trying to get on. That's the point I'm getting at.
You don't know any
That's
other
the point
way.
I'm getting at.
All right, let me take us there then. You don't know any other way. So if you had a bad habit, you've been doing something wrong for a period of time. You don't snap your fingers and that shit just comes back to normal. It's going to take him time to have to recondition his brain to do things the non-Tio Senior way. So I think he's got a long road ahead. I don't want to curse the guy. I just don't think he's ever going to be the same again. I'm seeing a pattern.
Look, I want to add to Beep's point. I don't got a lot to say, right? Your situation was dysfunctional before you beat Loma. Your situation was dysfunctional after you beat Loma. Your situation been dysfunctional. And when they asked you what you said, nah, I ain't getting rid of my daddy. Near as I could tell, you in a toxic relationship. If you don't get out of it, it ain't gonna change. And no, it's not gonna get easier at 40. It's gonna get harder. It's gonna get worse. So
and you know what else, Ring?
Unless he go with Joey Gamache, yo, daddy, stay home, dog. I don't need you. Give me Joey Gamache, because Joey Gamache was the one who helped him with Nakatani and helped him with Lomachenko. If it's a situation like that to where I see that the corner change, I give him a shot. But right now, what I see is downward spiral if something don't change. Downward spiral.
And that dysfunction has been exacerbated as time has gone on. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Joey Gamache and the nutritionists weren't there because, quote unquote, we could not afford them. Mm-hmm. He moved his parents into his house. They blew through all that money. And probably, again, I'm not trying to say anything bad. I'm just going by what they said. So if you were already in hock before, then all that money you're going to be getting once the taxes and all the people get paid who's supposed to get paid, that shit's probably paying off debt too. So he's not getting ahead. Calix, did you want to finish up with your original point, or did you all set with what you said?
I mean, pretty much, and I agree with everything y'all are saying. And I said it in my post-fight video. It was chaos. It was chaos in the corner between each round. It was chaotic. It was chaotic the week of the fight. It's been a chaotic year coming out of that camp. So they need to do something in that camp. I heard people were fired from that camp over the past year. I'm not sure how true that is. Strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah,
they need to get back to the basics and fix some things, obviously. However, one thing I'll say is we need to be careful about how critical we are of fighters after a single loss, after they've been fighting tough competition, and then giving passes to fighters who don't fight tough competition and are praised. You know, I was on Twitter 2 days ago and I see these tweets. The narrative starts to pour out after Tank Davis fights. It happened after the Matteo Barrios fight. It's happening after the Isaac-Cruz fight. You know, they start to spin this thing after the fight that, oh, Matteo Barrios and Isaac-Cruz, they actually were not average fighters. They were not average fighters. They're actually good fighters. We undervalued them. Vegas somehow undervalued them, and Vegas looks at every single angle of a fight. And somehow they missed on both of these fights back to back. And, you know, Matteo Barrios plus 550, Isaac-Cruz was like plus 650, whatever it was. But all of a sudden, these guys are good fighters. We just missed on it. They're good fighters. I saw Rick Glazer say that Matteo Barrios is actually an A- fighter and Isaac-Cruz is a B- fighter. And no. Our default position should be until you fight elite opposition, you are not elite, especially when you're going into year 9 of your career. Our default position on Tank Davis should be he fought average opposition, and somehow these average fighters are looking good against Tank Davis. And you add to that equation that his handlers are handling him very carefully. You can tell everything you need to know about a fighter by how his handlers handle him. They're handling him carefully on top of average opposition looking good against him. All of the red flags are there. I'm sorry. They're all there. They're hiding something from us.
They've been there. They've been there. But here's the funny thing about what you said, Calix. Since Kambosos was announced as a mandatory, all I heard was, this is about motherfucker. We're going to knock this motherfucker out in 1 round. He sucks. So
Impersonation is on point, B. That shit is on point.
Now all of a sudden, like the motherfucker, he's like an elite guy, I guess. I mean, I know Kambosos is good. Everybody here knows it. I mean, everyone who's seen him fights know that the dude has skills. He wouldn't have been in Manny Pacquiao's camp for all those years had he not been legit. But
Or Mickey Bay.
Or Mickey, exactly, or Mickey. But if you're talking about the general boxing public, it's tough to get that general sports fan to believe in the credibility of your loss when you spent over a year telling everybody how much this dude sucks and how quickly you're going to knock his ass out.
Fair. But one thing you got to say about Kambosos, he was rated much higher than Cruz. And he was coming off of the Lomachenko win. Here's the thing. I have a problem with the Tank packaging. That's what it is for me. If you package Tank, and it's the problem I had when Broner and Crawford were coming up, and everybody was telling me, look at this flashy thing here. Broner is the next Mayweather top pound for pound guy, and Crawford's over here just mowing guys down. And I'm saying maybe we should pay attention to this guy over here. The same thing's happening with Tank. Okay, they're packaging him as something he's not. They're packaging him as a top pound for pound fighter, a pay-per-view star, when in reality, he's an entertaining knockout artist. He's a fun guy. I love that about him. I want to be a Tank Davis fan. They're not allowing me to, though, because they're trying to put something down my throat that is not there. He's not elite. That's the default position until he fights somebody elite. He's not elite.
I think he's elite, you know, and I really, you know, I disagree with you on that. You know, I think Tank Davis is elite. I think he has all of the tools. And I think a lot of people overlook some of the things that he does, you know. We don't know how good Isaac Cruz is until he fights somebody that's on Tank's level or higher. You know what I mean? So then we can gauge, you know, but leading up into this fight, we didn't really know a lot about Isaac Cruz, you know, and I feel like a lot of people are being hypocritical to jump on one loss. I mean, not even one loss, just, you know, one loss for Cruz, but, you know, one win for, I guess you could say a close win for Tank Davis.
We'll finish off this topic with Ring. Go ahead, Ring.
I'll just say that it's more than just the Isaac Cruz fight, because I give guys breaks, man. I give guys breaks, but you fought Yuriorkis Gamboa, who has been knocked down a grand total of 16 times. This dude got stopped in 7 rounds by Castellanos, a journeyman with losses in the double digits. If your power is what they say it is, there's no way he should still be here in the 12th round, not on a torn Achilles tendon. The man shouldn't even be able to stand. If you are what they say you are,
but they built him up to be a monster, and he hasn't been looking like a monster as of late. Let's move on to the next topic because we've been spending a long time on this one. So
we'll see, man. The sparring doesn't lie neither, though.
Yeah, well, sparring is sparring, and fighting.
I mean, it is, but when you're knocking out guys that are, you know, world-class fighters, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Let me add to that. Let me add to that. No, wait. Let me add to that. Then, if we go
last point for Ring, and then we're
gonna add sparring to real under the lights fights. Klitschko knocked out Wilder. Dillian White knocked down Tyson Fury. If we gonna count sparring.
I don't.
Klitschko was a good fighter. What's wrong with Klitschko? Klitschko was a good fighter.
You yourself said that.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Klitschko was a really good fighter. Hall of Fame fighter. Hall of Fame fighter. What's wrong with that?
Hold on. I think that. You know who don't think that? A lot of Wilder's fans didn't say that about Klitschko.
Yeah.
I've gave Klitschko 100% credit on all my videos.
So have I, but they haven't. That's
and Usyk's been my #1 heavyweight for 4 years.
Well,
listen, Henry Tillman beat Mike Tyson as an amateur, but when they took the headgear and put the small gloves off, you saw what happened. So there's levels to shit. So
obviously, sparring is sparring. That's why I said sparring is sparring. But there's something that Gervonta Davis has that is special. I don't know. You guys can say what you want.
We'll see. So
I think Ali was special. Like we're putting him at that level now, or what?
Nico Ali Walsh with the legacy.
What? Yeah, no, nobody said. Who brought up Ali?
Because you're talking about special.
Like, where did
fighters.
Ali come from? Who just he came from the rafters somewhere? I don't know where he came from. Like, we're not even. How are you gauging Tank with Ali? How did that even come in the same
sentence? You called him
sentence?
special. You used the word special. Aren't you listening to yourself?
You can't call a fighter special without saying that he's neck and neck with Ali. You can't do that. I'm sorry. Special is only used for Ali. The word special.
How are you measuring Tank and we don't know? We can't even gauge Isaiah Cruz.
All right.
Answer that question. You want to get destroyed? Let's do it right now. You want to get destroyed? We're gonna have the discussion. Let's do it.
I'm gonna end this right now, Joe. I need to make one point.
We don't know how good Isaiah Cruz is, guys. Maybe he's better than we think he is, but you want to call Tank special.
Time out.
Listen to yourself.
Yo,
Whoa, B. What did you get me into, man? What you get me into, dude?
Boxing.
What? I want to make.
Guest here. Shut the fuck up. Go ahead, B.
We're here to talk about what happens.
Calm down.
We're here to talk about what happens in actual championship fights, because at the end of the day, if you guys want to talk about what people did in sparring, I mean, Maurice Harris would be like one of the greatest heavyweights of all times. He's not. So
we don't know how good Isaac Cruz is, but we're
go to the
default to Tank being amazing.
Let me end it on this. I've been in the gym. I've seen guys look great in the gym. I literally seen a guy enter a tournament and he shit his pants.
Yeah.
So when the lights are on, it's a different ball game. Case closed. That's it. All right. Next topic. Who the fuck is George Kambosos going to fight next? Is he going to fight Tank? Is it going to be Devin Haney? Is it going to be Lomachenko if he gets
$1 million question?
Yeah, if he gets by Coleman.
I think Loma's going to get him because, well, it depends. Loma got to beat Coleman, right?
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn has a real small window to get the Devin Haney fight done. It's a real small window.
Yeah.
And if I'm talking about, you got to get that shit done by January.
Correct.
Because if you don't and he win this weekend, the WBO going to have that order ready in like 3-4 fucking weeks for you to fight Lomachenko. He's your mandatory, or you give up the belt. Now, if I'm George and that happens, yo, Loma, here, take the belt because I'm about to get this bread with Devin. I could still fight Devin for these other belts. I still got 2 other belts that I could fight Devin for, so I still got value. I'm not going to mix it up with Lomachenko, even if he's willing to come to Australia, because he's going to take all my belts. So here's this one, and you chill and go. And I'm going to still fight Devin for this bread because I still got 2 belts. That's what I would do.
But you also made another great point, Ring, because Lomachenko's ranked number 1 by the WBO and number 1 by the WBC. And you said this earlier in the week that Bob's got that great relationship with the WBO.
Can I say something about? I just want to say something about the George Kambosos. He changed what he said. If you guys think about it, George Kambosos was 100% on board with fighting Haney for all of the belts. And then I'm pretty sure what happened was he got a call from, PBC or Floyd Mayweather, Al Haymon, one of those guys from over there in that network, pretty much, pitched an offer like, hey, look, because Lou DiBella is I think that's promoted by I think he's Kambosos' promoter. So that he's in the back pocket of PBC. So that only makes sense that they would not put all of their eggs in one basket and put Haney on the forefront. I really truly feel he can make more money with Tank. My personal opinion.
Maestro, go next. Let Maestro get in real quick, then we'll have rebuttals out. Let everyone get in first.
To me, see, ring IQ is ring IQ. There was high-level boxing knowledge right there. But this equation, I think, is a lot more simple. Bob doesn't pay. The PBC doesn't have as much money as they pretend to. Eddie Hearn's got the deepest pockets. He's going to fight Devin Haney. It's that simple.
No, I think he's going to fight Loma.
To me, it makes the most sense. As big as Loma is over here, Bob Arum's not going to pay as much as DAZN pays Eddie Hearn to pay these fighters. Also, if you've been reading between the lines, you keep hearing about the big DAZN move in Australia. They just opened up the market over there. This is a huge fight for them to launch their platform in Australia.
Well,
so,
Maestro, I want to add to your point.
That timeline you mentioned, Ring, is important. I think if you don't make it by then, and then all of what I just said goes out the window. But those are all reasons why I think it probably should happen
Ring,
within the timeline that you specified.
Let me get this super chat real quick, Ring, before you go. Thank you so much, James Jackson. He says, I agree. Something about Tank is special. The way he talks is special ed. Oh, shit.
Yo.
Ring,
I'm done with Tank. I ain't gonna say nothing about Tank. Look, for the bread, it's Devin. That's clear. Because Leonard already said it on camera. Leonard already said it on camera 2 times. We not gonna pay these guys unless they bring something to the table. They not worried about George's belts. Tank himself said he not worried about George's belts. Leonard said that shit about Devin. That like, yo, Devin, he get paid great money, but we ain't about to give him that. I know George ain't gonna be the B-side to y'all for no low ass bread. He gonna want 2-3 M's. He gonna want 2-3 M's. And if you ain't gonna give him that, then he ain't gonna fight. He ain't gonna fight.
One thing to point on yours.
We'll let Calix get in.
On Ring IQ, I just want to say, Floyd, to say what you said, man. Floyd Mayweather pretty much said the same exact thing you just said in that post-fight press conference when he was like, you know, we're not gonna pay him, and Leonard Ellaby was like, they're losing money. That's his exact words. We're not in the business to lose money. That's what he said. I just wanted to piggyback off Ring IQ.
I agree with what you're saying, Corey. Let me just add this last thing, right? To Leonard, Eddie losing bread, right? To Leonard, he don't understand they got it to burn. It's a difference between
they got a bigger piggy bank.
Burn. Exactly.
They got a bigger piggy bank. There's no question. Calix, who do you think he's going to fight next?
Lomachenko in Australia will be a huge fight. That's let's assume that Australia gets back open in 2022. Huge fight, humongous fight out in Australia. Kambosos has options. It's beautiful right now for him. Everything has opened up. He can become the undisputed champion if he fights Devin Haney. And that's a more winnable fight for him stylistically than the Lomachenko fight. Yes. And we know Tank's not going to come to the table. That's not going to happen. I remember I saw the video last week when they're pulling off and he's yelling out the car window that I'm not worried about them belts. They're going to look for a guy between 10 and 15 that stylistically matches up for Tank, and they're going to keep this thing going. That's what they're going to do. Let me say this about Tank, though. Where are those pay-per-view numbers at this week? They're pretty slow getting those out. And I'll also say that was a beautiful thing he pulled off. Remember when David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear?
No,
he made like 7,000-8,000 people disappear in the Staples Center because I could have swore I saw curtains up at the top.
Yo, I thought I was the only one that seen that shit.
They're telling me 15,000. I'm watching Showtime, and they're telling me 15,000 are in the Staples Center, a sellout where curtains are at the top. And then they're trying to tell me Steve Farhood puts up a graphic with all the champions who won at 130, 135, and 140. And he's saying, look at what this guy has done at such a young age. He's 27. He's been 29 years, and he hasn't won. He's won one real belt, and he's fought one guy in the top 5 in the 3 divisions he's campaigned at in 9 years. Okay, so it's not going to be a Tank. It's not going to be Tank, long story short. But that curtain thing was beautiful, man. A non-sellout. He made 7,000 people disappear. That was the most impressive thing I've seen since David Blaine levitated in the streets of Chicago. That was beautiful.
For boxing, for boxing,
you can't go wrong.
For boxing, that location seats 21,000. The announced attendance was 15,000. So
15 and change.
15 and change. But that still ain't no motherfucking sellout when the whole top row curtain off. That's not no sellout. Be like what y'all talking about? Y'all got shower curtains covering
on
top of this shit. Shit
Let
ain't
me read this super chat real quick.
But that's not 15 in there. They're counting. I don't know what they're counting. They count
hot dog vendors, guys annual tower in the bathroom, valets and all of that. They ain't counting people that bought a ticket. I know that.
Nando Lamos, thank you so much. Hold on, Calix. He said, is this the biggest bag really with Tank? Only guaranteed $1 million for Cruz. Tank can't break bread to the B side if there's no loaf. Go ahead, Calix.
No, I was just going to wrap up and say either one of those. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with becoming undisputed, and then you can't go wrong with Lomachenko in Australia. That would be humongous fight.
That would.
I also think it's an easier fight for him too than Lomachenko. So why wouldn't you take the bigger bag for the easiest opponent?
Yeah.
You know,
let's let D get in real quick. D, who's next?
So first of all, I honestly believe he ain't gonna fight any of them, and I know that's gonna catch a lot of people by surprise. Like, what? He ain't gonna fight Haney. He ain't gonna fight Lomachenko. He ain't gonna fight Tank. Now, first, he ain't gonna fight Tank because, first of all, PBC is just obsessed with having him on pay-per-view, you know, and he's not a pay-per-view star. He's not, but that's where they want him, right? If they would put his fights on Showtime or even on Fox, he might have been a pay-per-view star by now, but they're hiding him on pay-per-view. A lot of people can't watch him. Leonard Albert could talk all day. Oh, nobody watches fights on the zone. Nobody watches Tank on pay-per-view. All right. And guess what? Stop talking shit about apps, because that's become the main source of way people watch fights. Like, people they use an app to order fights for pay-per-view. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind, including Fox and Showtime. That aside, look, he ain't gonna fight Tank because they're not interested in making these fights with Tank at all. That's number one. Number two, Devin Haney is too expensive, guys. Devin Haney made $3 million to fight like fucking Linares. You think he's gonna take $3 million or less to fight for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world? No way. That dude's gonna want $5-6 million. He don't need to fight Kambosos, and he can make $2-3 million. You know what I'm saying? He can do that. So people got to keep that in mind now. All right. He's too expensive. When Bob Arum said that, Bob Arum, he's hating. You know what I mean? But Leonard Albert said the same thing.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? That's the only thing that he said that makes any freaking sense. Right? Now, is he going to fight Lomachenko? I do believe Loma is a front runner. I do believe he of those three, is the first one he's going to fight. I'll tell you why. Luther Balla will work with Bob Arum. I do believe that it's a fight that's very, very makeable, and Loma will take less money than Haney's made to get that fight. I'm convinced of that. He took a pay cut to fight Teofimo on ESPN in front of no crowd. This guy will do that. I do believe that. I do believe that Lomachenko wants those belts that bad. And I actually disagree with people. I know that Bob Arum is cheap. I get that, right? But if it's worth his while, like getting some of those fucking belts back, he don't got belts for the division. And Loma don't go there and snatch them, right? Now that one will be next, but it's not gonna of those three, but Kambosos gonna fight a tune-up, guys. Come on. Kambosos is gonna launch his. He could probably sell out a stadium right now, fighting Joe Schmo, all right, a top 10 dude or something, and he'll sell it out. He'll make $2-3 million doing it. He's gonna have at least one title defense without any of these three guys. Mark my words.
I agree with that. Let me add to that. Let me just add to that. I do agree with that because I was already given a name, but I'm old, so I forgot it. I was given a name of the guy who he's gonna fight next. I just fucking forgot it. But I'm with D Styles. He's not fighting Haney next or Loma, but because he's fighting this guy, I forgot his fucking name. That's how I know it's gonna be Loma. Because by the time you done with that guy, that order gonna come down, and you gonna have to fight Loma.
The reason I think that there's some kind of feedback there, Boxing Dev, I think it might be coming from you. I'm not yet there.
Yeah, you may have to put some headphones in. You have hands.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, the only reason I'm a little confident that he might fight Haney is because his dad has like the utmost belief in his son, and I don't know why he would have gone out to the Haney fight had it not been to kind of drum up a little bit of support for it. I mean, it's just a bad look if you go out there, you're talking all of this. His dad was spending a lot of time after the fight. Dude spent like 10 minutes talking to me off camera about his son's life story and how, you know, where they come from and all of this other stuff. But I do got to say one thing about shitting on DAZN if you're Leonard Ellaby. I mean, he sounds like a dude walking around with a Discman hating on Spotify. He sounds like a dude walking around with a DVD hating on Netflix. It's like, motherfucker, get with the times, bro. Like, apps. It's that simple.
Yo.
Yeah.
Shit,
Let's welcome Boxing Dev Lucia Malena to the panel. See if you got your song. All right, it's a little
Thank
feedback,
you.
but go ahead. So who do you think George Kambosos is going to fight next?
I think I think if Gustavo Lemos win against Lee Selby, George Kambosos should fight against Gustavo Lemos because he is Argentinian and I am from Argentina. That's the reason. But taking that conversation away, I think a really good match would be Loma.
I
Loma
think it's
would
gonna be
be,
Loma. Yeah.
yeah, Loma or maybe Devin Haney because I don't know for that unification because anybody knows if Cambosos is the real undisputed champion or not. So to take that doubt away, that should be a good match to have an undisputed lightweight champion of the world. But I don't like Haney.
You don't like Haney?
No, I don't like Haney because I don't know. He's a bored fighter. He
Okay.
he has a really good technique. He's completely I don't know. He's stronger and all of that things, but he's a bored fighter.
Not fan friendly. It's not going to be a fan friendly fight for the audience. In other words,
He is a boring fighter. I mean, I got to co-sign that all day every day.
Can I say this? Haney can lose in Australia because he can't knock George out. You think they're gonna do him any favors on the fucking cards? He'll lose out there, B. If they send Devin to Australia, it's a wrap.
He's willing to go out there at least. Like, how many U.S. fighters, world champions, are willing to go overseas? I give him credit. Yo.
No, I'm giving him credit. All I'm saying is when Manny went to Australia, he ain't come back with that belt, bro. If they got Manny, they'll get you. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Shout out to Best.
Good point.
Best Dadever. He said Kambosos should fight Tank for less money so he can beat him since Tank isn't a good fighter to you guys. Easy win, right? Wow, we got some Tank fans in this freaking chat.
The WBA might actually mandate that, apparently.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Corey, who's next, real quick, before we transition out of this topic?
Oh, so you saying who's next for who?
Kambosos.
Oh yeah, so Kambosos, my honest opinion, has never wavered ever since Tank Davis threw his hat in the sweepstakes. I think it's Tank Davis because you got to think about the money. You already the appeal is there. You know, the hype will be there. You know, everybody will finally say Gervonta Tank Davis is fighting somebody that beat somebody. But I feel like, you know, if Gervonta Davis were to fight George Kambosos and beat him, will Gervonta Davis even get the credit, being that, or will we hear that, you know, Kambosos fought a guy in Teofimo Lopez that had air in his chest? You know what I mean? Like will the discredits already happen, or will people, you know, finally give Gervonta Davis, you know, I feel like some of his just due credit? You know what I mean? I just really, I don't know. I don't know if the Kambosos fight is enough for fans to, you know, for diehard fans, you know, because the casuals think what they think, you know what I mean? But I'm talking about the diehard fans, you know, us, the people that are on this panel right now. You know, will we give him credit for beating a George Kambosos if he is next?
I give him all the credit for fighting a guy whose dad was full of hot air. I give him all the credit for that. Yeah. Air in the chest. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. I don't want to hear it.
All right, let's move on. We can go on forever with this one. So
we could.
Yeah. So Floyd, once again, after the Cruz Gervonta Davis fight, still popping off at the mouth talking about Canelo Alvarez. Wasn't even asked any questions about Canelo Alvarez, but still had to talk about him, bring his name up. Seemed like, is he being salty, or what's going on here, man? Calix.
Babe, you know one thing that really gets under my skin is when I go back and listen to Big E's classics and I hear Puff's ad-libs constantly in the song. One thing that irks me is you want a promoter that's all up in the videos? Go to Mayweather Promotions, apparently. This guy completely takes over fight week all the time. And then after the fight as well, of course he's salty. It's a bad look. And when he's explaining Canelo, he's basically explaining Tank. And the problem is, with a lot of his criticism, the problem is too, he's ruining the relationship that Canelo and Tank have with each other. Canelo says Tank's one of his favorite fighters. Tank says Canelo is one of his favorite fighters. And he's getting in the middle of that. And me and D-Style talked about this on the phone the other day. And D-Style brought up the point. There's going to be some friction down there, down the road with this stuff, possibly. They had friction a couple years ago. Remember when all of a sudden they wanted to throw Tank to Lomachenko? And then that was swept under the rug? Look, man, this whole Mayweather thing, he takes over fight week every single time. Let it be about Tank. Let it be about Tank. Just talk about Tank. We don't need to talk about Canelo.
Take that.
All right. So of course he's salty.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
D.
So check it out. You see. The thing is, y'all hate Tank because y'all wanted to see me lose, and now y'all will want to bring the hate to Tank, and look, the Lara fight could have gone either way against Canelo. I just want to say that right now, and everybody wants to give Canelo all this love, but nobody gives Tank any love. You see. It's we got Spence out there. Nobody wants to talk about Spence, and then you see the Canelo got married. Like, married is overrated, bro. Like, he got married. Like, what's going on? You see. I made more money. I beat him. I beat Canelo in 2013, but the media is covering it up like if it never happened. But it was a cakewalk. I beat him, Tank. Tank, you were like 4 foot tall when you saw that fight. When I beat him,
When he was
this dude was talking about Canelo more than he was talking about Tank. He said Canelo's name more than Isaac Cruz's name. Yeah. He called Isaac Cruz that guy. What do you mean that guy? Like, bro, this dude is obsessed with Canelo. Okay. Like, have you seen those memes that say nobody and then like somebody sings some random shit? That's Floyd with Canelo. Like, it just is. He brought up the Lara fight to say it could have gone either way. How does that happen? After a Tank Davis-Cruz fight. Like, who just thinks about the Lara fight to say it could have gone either way? Who? That makes no sense. And then he's bringing up like and then he's picking and choosing his opponents. I mean, I did that, and you get to a point where you could do that, but I wouldn't do that. Like, what? You just contradicted yourself. That makes no sense. This dude is obsessed with Canelo, and his fans are saying, because they're a bunch of parrots. Floyd beat him. He got me scared. 50th try. One of them was Canelo. He gave him a boxing lesson. He was in his prime. They said this dude was in his prime. Floyd was like, he was in his prime when I fought him. He was 23 years old. I was 23 when I fought Renato Hernandez. So there's no excuse. You see. But Tank, he's growing. As a fighter, he's improving every fight. He's 27 years old. But you see. It's just different for Tank, but not for Canelo. Canelo can't improve. He's in his prime at 23, but Tank is still improving when he's almost 30 fucking years old. He's still a young, hungry fighter at almost 30. That is unheard of. I'm sorry. All right, but with that said, I think you guys get the point. Okay, he's obsessed with Canelo. He's obsessed. And why is he obsessed? It's real simple, guys. He misses the spotlight, okay? He knows he's 45 years old, and he wants to be like pound for pound forever. Like they said, like, Floyd, you can't be pound for pound no more. It's over. You're retired. You're done. Now Canelo's #1 pound for pound, not you. Like, your time has passed. Like, your win over Canelo doesn't keep you on the pound for pound list as long as Canelo's #1. Like, that's stupid. Okay. That's what it is. He's getting older. He's realizing that. I mean, I struggle against dudes like fucking Paul, like Logan Paul. I feel. I'll let Maestro talk about that, but that's all I got to say. Yeah.
Well, I'll jump in about that right now. I mean, I felt from the beginning that the hate on Canelo fighting the cruiserweight had a lot to do with the fact that he got his ass whooped by a YouTube cruiserweight. I mean, if you scored the Logan Paul fight, I mean, I had Logan Paul winning that fight, and that's no cap.
The fuck, man?
Hey. That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good
He
one.
edged him.
That's number one.
That was a good one.
Number two, he actually has a lot in common with a guy that he seems to hate a lot in Oscar. Because if Floyd and Oscar talked a tenth as much about their own fighters, whether it's Badu Jack, whether it's Virgil Ortiz, whether it's Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, as much as they talk about Canelo, these guys would be way better promoters. Instead, they can't get his name out of their mouths. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know who hates on Canelo more, Oscar or Floyd. Maybe we should put that as a poll question, Joe.
And can I speak on what y'all are all talking about?
No, we'll go to you.
No, that's fine. That's
Oh,
fine.
go ahead. My bad.
I was gonna let Boxing Dev go.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
What's wrong? What's wrong with Floyd, Boxing Dev? What's going on? You're on mute.
I don't know who mute me. I was mute,
okay.
so I was respecting that.
Okay.
What do you want to ask?
Oh, I said, so what's wrong with Floyd? Why is he so salty towards Canelo? What's going on?
I think he's trying to be shown off. Okay, he's trying to catch the attention of everybody. He can't accept that his time is over. Okay, so it's completely hard to him to see that everybody is an undisputed champion, and he couldn't, because anybody knows, but maybe he wasn't to take that risk or something like that. But I think that it's something that it's something big. I don't know how to say. He's mad about that. He's mad about it because
little jealous.
Yeah, completely jealous. So okay, what's the sense to stall the moment of Tank in the press conference? It was Tank's moment, not yours. Your moment is over. Yes, you are Floyd Mayweather. You were the best. You pay to win many fights too. But okay, your time is over. Let your stars. I don't know. Let another fighters be. Just that. Stay away, Floyd. I love him. I loved his moments and all of that things, and I think he was one of the best boxers ever since amateurs. But please stop.
Okay.
It's with the face-to-face pep talks too, though. It's like these extended pep talks. He's like face-to-face with Tank in the change room. Then they get out to the gym, out to the ring. He's in the corner with him, face-to-face, giving them pep talks again. Does Tank need all of this motivational inspiration constantly?
Maestro, do you remember when he gave Drake the pep talk after his own fight? And Drake is like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Every single time this dude has to give, every time he goes in public, he has to give someone a pep talk.
It's the pep talk.
Yeah.
I mean,
let Corey get in, Maestro. Let Corey get in.
I want to say something.
Go ahead.
What was the sense to fight away against Logan Paul?
I mean, he could have. This is the thing. If you have all these smart investments and you have all this other ways of making money, then you wouldn't have to do something like that. I agree 100%. I said that already. Did you want to add to that, Ray?
I think 50 exposed something about Floyd over a year ago, that the overhead of his lifestyle is costing him more money than he's bringing in. There's no way you're 46 years old and you're fighting YouTubers in exhibition matches for fun. You don't need to do that unless you have to do that because the overhead of your lifestyle is costing you too much money.
I don't think he's liquid. I think he's all.
No, he's not liquid. He's not.
I don't think he's liquid. I think he's all assets.
Really quick before we go to court,
because smarter. He's working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, let D jump in. Then we're gonna finish this off.
It's gonna be really quick before we go to Corey Lee. He's been waiting, but let me just say this. I mean, by Floyd's own logic, as he said, he was 36 when he beat Canelo, and that makes him better than Chavez, right? Because Chavez was 36 when he lost to a 23-year-old De La Hoya, right? Although I think De La Hoya is 24, 25. But either way, right? So by his own logic, while Foreman was 45 when he beat Moore, right? You couldn't stop Logan Paul at 44. So I guess by Floyd's own logic, that makes Foreman better than Floyd. I just wanted to put that out.
That's a great point. Go ahead, Corey. All right, go ahead, Boston Dev. Let me finish it off.
Okay, in my opinion, Floyd ruined his legacy fighting against Logan Paul because
Yeah.
it wasn't necessary. You're Floyd Mayweather. Please,
And he lost.
this is a fucking joke. Please don't do that. First at all, and the on the first hand.
Whoa!
I love it. I love it. I love it. Orale!
He's been nice the whole show. Like fucking joke.
Come on.
Like, whoa!
Come on, everybody.
There you go. Corey,
Okay.
Corey, take us home with this one, Corey.
That's on one hand, and on the second hand, okay, you have enough money, so it's obviously that you don't need to do a thing like this.
Don't need
And on the other hand, Jake Paul made him ¿cómo se dice? Ring EQ, ¿cómo se dice? Lo hizo ver mal.
Oh,
Made him
he
look
looked
bad.
terrible. He made him look bad.
Yeah, he made
bad.
him look bad because
He did.
got your head. It was completely unnecessary. Floyd looks like an idiot and like that. He's
Ese
really
tipo, te voy a decir, ese tipo está en olla. No es posible que un hombre que se respeta va a estar peleando con YouTuber. Eso no es posible.
Like, Corey,
yeah.
You guys,
Eso no es posible.
you
In
guys are
Argentina-
getting another con
Argentina,
todo respeto, Pac,
Yeah, let Corey finish it. Let Corey get in real quick.
Estás olvidando algo, and what you're
Let
ignoring.
Corey get in real quick. Let Corey get in real
One
quick.
last sec, because this is an important point,
Let
Joe.
me finish. Let
The
me finish.
hair plugs. I mean, let's not forget when he got his cap stolen by Jake Paul.
That's
I mean,
yo.
Right.
Maestro need to be a detective because that's what he was paying for with the fight, the hair transplant.
Yeah,
That's what the fight was for the hair
All
transplant.
right. Let Corey get in. Go ahead, Corey.
man.
All right, I'm good now.
Yeah, you good, man. Damn.
All right,
it
man.
made you
So
wait.
look.
It made you wait.
It's all good, baby, man. Love the panel, man. I just want to say before I say what I got to say, man, I got to go back to work, man.
All right.
It was an honor to come on the show with you guys today, man. And I try to, I took my lunch and extended lunch just to get on the show, man. Just to be with y'all guys, man. So
Too much.
I just want to say that. Huh?
Go ahead. No, I'm just busting your chops.
Come on, man. But yeah, man. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm real passionate about boxing, as you guys can tell, I can tell you guys are as well. And that's what makes it so entertaining to me. You know what I'm saying? But
What's up with your man Floyd? What's up with your man Floyd?
Floyd is true. To be honest with you guys, I just really, really think that he sees Canelo being a top, money draw and the top superstar in boxing. And I mean, he's looking at Canelo like, I'll beat this guy. How can this guy lose to me and become this? And I really just truly think that does something to Floyd Mayweather's ego. And I'm just being 100% honest right now, man. I really truly think that does something to Floyd Mayweather's ego. I think it does something to Floyd Mayweather in press conferences when they mention Canelo. I mean, it's hard not to mention the biggest draw in boxing. It's not Tank. Tank's far from that right now. He's trying to become that, but he's far from a Canelo, very far. So I just feel like, Floyd Mayweather feels like he has a pay-per-view talent and everybody needs to be focused on Tank Davis, but it's like the elephant in the room. Canelo is still here. Canelo is still, vibrant. Canelo is still out here, beating guys, which some would say, that he should have a tough fight against, or, I'm not going to say Canelo's cherry picking, I'm just saying that Canelo's, people are giving Canelo respect. And I don't know if Floyd Mayweather feels he got that respect when he was fighting. And that's my call, man. And that's all I got to say, man. Thank you guys so much, man. You guys have an awesome night, man. Peace out.
I'll tell you why he didn't get it. I'll rifle off some names. Yoel Casamayor, Acelino Freitas, Kostya Tszyu, Antonio Margarito. I could go on and on. There's you can't start naming guys that Canelo didn't fight. And also, I could regrow this. I might be able to sell some of this to the money team real quick. You know what I mean? I could sell this to LVIII. I could sell it to Floyd. I got this in abundance. So, maybe I could get a check from the money team real quick.
No, I didn't get to weigh in on what I think is wrong with Floyd, because while I do think it's an ego trip, right? I do think ego is a part of it. What I didn't hear anybody say is the 40 M's that he just hijacked from PBC and Showtime. If you want my opinion, why all of a sudden Floyd, who never attacked Canelo before recently, watch every video. He's a tough competitor. He's a hell of a fighter every fucking video. Tough competitor, hell of a fighter. You give this guy $40 million, all of a sudden he ain't shit. Oh, he ain't shit. He ain't shit. And what's the difference between then and now? Well, now you guys at Showtime were hoping that Canelo Alvarez would stick around and help you sell pay-per-views. You give him $40 million hoping that'll happen, and it doesn't happen. And what's Floyd start doing? He starts attacking this guy. I believe that a part of that 40 million, if not all of it, came from Floyd, because Showtime's budget has been cut, and I know that. Their budget has been cut. Fox's budget has been cut. That's why they passed on it. Like, no, we're not going to give this guy who we don't even have under contract $40 million, and we don't even have him under contract. No fucking way. Showtime's budget's been cut. They don't have the money that they used to have. So how does a smaller network with a smaller budget secure Canelo? They call Floyd. It's the only thing that makes sense. Why are you all of a sudden attacking this guy? You never attacked him before. When they were talking about Triple G, you were on Canelo's side. You were on his side. All of a sudden, you don't like Canelo anymore. What's the difference between then and now? He did some business with your people, and your people were hoping he was going to stick around, and he didn't. And that's what I think his problem is.
Yeah, he's mad he's not fighting David Benavidez next. That's the problem.
Why do you think he keeps bringing him up? Putting David Benavidez's name out there.
No, you're right.
That's what I think it's about.
Shout out to Alexis LL. She says, happy birthday to El Beeb. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So the next topic here, I don't know if anyone cares about this, but Tommy Fury pulled out of the Jake Paul fight. Hey, Jake Paul is going to rematch Tyron Woodley. I want to get everyone's thoughts on Tommy Fury pulling out of this fight, and does anyone care about this rematch? We'll go to you first, Maestro.
Well, you know, I've never been big on Tommy Fury, which is funny because I've given out a lot of accolades to his older brother, Tyson Fury. But you look at his opponent's records, it's upside down. I mean, he fought one guy with a winning record his entire career, and that guy's wins were against guys with upside down records. So he's untested, unproven. I think he's a hype job. I think he's a reality TV star himself. You know, he was on a show in the UK called Love Island. That's how he's known out there. That, and obviously being the younger brother of Tyson Fury. I don't like nepotism. I never have. I never will. If his name wasn't Fury, nobody would give a damn about who this guy is. Okay? And believe it or not, Jake Paul is more credible to me than he is. Because at least for whatever you want to say about Jake Paul, oh, he was on the Disney Channel. Oh, you know, he's a YouTuber. Okay, all true. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's made a name for himself even more than his older brother has as a boxer. What he's done in boxing, he's done it on his own merit. And his record, believe it or not, is more credible than Tommy Fury's record. So, you know, I think the writing was on the wall. They got in the camp. They're like, you know what? You're not hitting so hard. You haven't been able to really knock out anybody, really. Sparring's probably going a little bit of rough. You got a couple knick-knack injuries, which, let's be honest, most fighters do in training camps. We're just going to call this off. We're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to see if we could regain this. You know, maybe we could improve over the next few months and try to come back in March. And the question really is going to be whether the fight's even going to still be there for him or not after he does his business against Tyron Woodley, who, let's be honest, was not looking very good in that first fight. And I don't think it had anything to do with any non-knockout clause, which I know is the other big TMZ Inside Edition scandal related to Jake Paul as a boxer. So, look, I was going to watch the fight. I'm not going to deny it. You know, I do talk about boxing, you know, as my side hustle, you know, being the millennial that I am, you know, got to have a side hustle, all right? Just happens that my side hustle is something I really enjoy doing and something I'm trying to grow. But I was going to watch the fight. I'm not one of these guys that are like, oh, you know what, I'm too good to watch this fight. It's beneath me. I'm a boxing purist. No, I was going to watch it. But at the end of the day, I'm not surprised by him pulling out of the fight. I'm honestly not.
All right. D, are you heartbroken that you're not going to be able to see Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul?
Look, I thought the fight was trash to begin with, so I'm not devastated. You know what I mean? I do think Tommy Fury was going to win, though. I'm not going to lie. I do. Just he might have won like some boring decision or something, but I think Jake Paul would have been out of. He would have had no gas after 4 or 5 rounds, in my opinion. Right? Woodley can't box worth the lick, and he was laying gloves on this dude. So it's whatever to me. But now Woodley's gonna fight him again. Look, man, Woodley's got to do this for UFC, man. Like, you know what I mean? UFC looking good right now. Like just letting Jake Paul knock your dudes out. Like, I'm just saying, because it was just a couple years ago that this dude was calling out Canelo to a fight. And every time there's a dude with a strap in the UFC, he knocks somebody out with his fist, and all of a sudden they're calling out the pound for pound king in boxing, whoever it may be. Like, oh, yeah, I think I could do it. You know, and then we have like fans, the casuals that believe they could do it too. Like, oh no, I think he has a good shot against Canelo. I mean, he puts that dude pretty hard. I mean, you know, like Canelo's gonna wear big gloves. These UFC guys, you know, they get kicked in the head. You know, remember Nally's take? When Nally was on First Take saying that it's impossible, Floyd cannot knock out Conor because Conor gets kicked in the head, right? So how are these big gloves going to knock him out? This is what people think about the sport. So if there's one good thing that I agree with Maestro that Jake Paul does do, is really expose how these UFC dudes cannot hang with the top boxers in the world because they can't even hang with him. Agreed. So he's a former UFC champion. If he can't beat Jake Paul, I don't want to hear any more champions over there say they want to fight for a title, say they want to fight, you know, top boxers. We had Conor this 2 years ago, like, I want to win the title in boxing. Are you gonna have to do a lot of fights for that? No, I'll just do it in one fight. You know, let me tell you something. You ain't doing shit. So that's all I want to say. So I do predict that somehow Jake Paul will win. Is there no knockout clause or not? I don't know. But I think since Woodley can't take him down and submit him, he's going to lose because the dude can't box with the shit.
Yeah. Fury's last win, if you want to call it that, was a unanimous decision win against an undersized MMA guy that was 0-1 in boxing. Like, I'm not convinced.
Yeah. Lucia, what do you think of this? You care?
Okay. Jake Paul, I don't think that Tommy Fury is with an injury. I don't believe in that. Maybe the X-ray it was of Tyson or someone like that, because come on. I think they are trying to frustrate Jake Paul, because Jake Paul needed with urgency a replacement for him. So they are gypsies. Okay, that's a good point to know. They are gypsies. They are going to try to, I don't know, to win something. They are going to try to do something to frustrate the other person to take the win. So yeah, Tyson Fury did it with Deontay Wilder. Why not Tommy Fury with Jake Paul? That's a good point to know. Yeah. And then Tommy Fury, okay, he's a boxer, okay, but he's been inactive, and Jake Paul is been active. I don't think that a person with the physical appearance with Tommy Fury could fight in 2 months, for example. He need more time to get sparring, to eat better, or things like that, to prepare himself to fight again, because he was on a TV show. So, and Jake Paul, who in Argentina we said no tiene todos los caramelos en el frasco. Translated it, please.
He doesn't have. ¿Cuál es la última palabra?
No tiene todos los caramelos en el frasco.
Doesn't have any balls?
Un tarro, en el tarro.
Oh, he doesn't have all his caramels in the jar. Which is
no balls.
He's light in the pants. There you go.
So you think Fury's faking it? Boxing it?
No. No. I think
he's playing head games.
Wait. Fury, maybe is that X-ray is fake or is from Tyson or something like that. Could be. I think he need more time to prepare himself because Logan Paul, no, Jake Paul, sorry, Jake Paul, he's a crazy man. He's a YouTuber who is fighting with people from UFC or something like that. He's I don't know, he's letting to someone hitting hard. And Tommy Fury was on a TV show. So that's when you are in the ring, you have to fight the mental fight and the physical fight. And I don't think that Tommy Fury is going to win the mental fight because Jake Paul is crazy.
Y también él un Capricornio. He's a
I mean, his
Capricorn.
troll game was ridiculous. I mean, he's tweeting out pictures of Jake Paul taking flights on Spirit Airlines and all type of stuff. I mean, the troll game was next level.
Yeah. Calix, what are your thoughts on this? I know you've never been a big fan of these.
Go to ring. Just go to ring.
You
One
don't
thing
even
I'll
wanna
say though
comment.
is I do think it's hilarious that he called him Tommy Fumbles and then he ends up fumbling the bag. I did think that was hilarious, but that's all I got though.
Yeah. Ring, what's going on here?
I see. I'm pretty good at reading people. I think I am, and I don't think he's faking it. I genuinely believe that Tommy Fury is a fuck up. He's the black sheep of the family. That's what I see. He doesn't remind me of John. He doesn't remind me of Tyson's older brother. He doesn't even remind me of Huey fucking Fury. I look at Tommy and I don't see a fighter. I see that you're related to Tyson Fury, and they can use that to put you in a couple of fights, and maybe it'll get you a little bit of press. But the guy is not a fighter. I don't see that. And I saw his last two fights, not even counting the one that he had on the Jake Paul undercard. I saw his two fights on BT before that, and he looked fucking awful. And I started to question, yo, can this guy really beat Jake Paul on Showtime in America? Can he beat him? Because I just saw him go in there with this guy. He couldn't fucking knock him out in England. I saw him fight on Jake Paul's undercard against a fucking guy hasn't boxed in years.
5'5", bro.
Is this the is this the son of like the mistress or like who like?
Yo,
He was dropped off. He was dropped off on the doorstep.
Yo, I don't know where they found that guy, man. I don't know, but he ain't a Fury. Look at Fury.
He was following Tyson around.
No, they switched
when they were
babies. They
young
switched
and-
babies. They switched babies.
Like this dude don't even look.
He don't even look like him. He don't even look like
I
him.
could tell if Fury's got
He looks like
Irish
you,
in him.
B.
I could tell if Fury's got Irish in him just by looking at him. This kid is either Greek or Italian or Moroccan.
I'm about to say he looks Italian, man.
He
I
looks
was just gonna say,
Italian.
he looks like you, Joe.
He looks like
and then he don't got the Fury physique.
Joe is a Fury. Joe is a Fury. He's a fucking
His Fury,
Fury.
he looks more related to Joshua than to Fury. All right, I'm just saying.
That being said, I don't actually believe he's faking. I saw John Fury raising a
Tommy
stink.
Joshua.
I saw John Fury raising a stink right before he pulled out, and I think that he was doing that as an out to get his son out of that fight because a Fury cannot live down losing to a fucking YouTuber.
Yeah.
He'll make the whole goddamn family look like a joke. If he loses
Something's
to
up with
guy.
his genetics though. Like that body type does not look like a Fury body type. I'm just saying.
No,
I'm
he has
good
his.
at that.
Look, I'm gonna just say, I draw right. He does have a Fury body. He don't got a Fury face. He don't got a Fury hairline.
All right.
Fury's father's bald. Tyson Fury's bald. All right. Huey's losing his fucking hair, and he's his fucking cousin. But this
But
kid,
Shane's got a full head of hair, though.
that's true. That is true. That is. I'm glad you caught that because I'm like, well, Shane is the odd man out because he got long hair, like he
he
got
does.
Nirvana long hair and shit. But that dude, look, man, that
They
dude
got
ain't
different
no,
daddies. They got different daddies.
he ain't no fighter, man. I don't see a fighter. I don't see a fighter.
Yeah. Virtuoso says Tommy Fury passes off as Jersey Shore cast member.
Ain't he though? Ain't he though?
Yeah.
Stand him in the corner. Don't say nothing. You don't hear the accent. He gonna be right.
Maybe
there
it was a
with Snooki.
sister that had a sex
All
change or
right.
something. You never
Let's
know,
get
you know what I mean?
let's get to the final topic here. The WBC.
I lost you in
finally-
sponsorship. I'm sorry, B. I lost you in
Finally, the WBC finally orders Tyson Fury versus Dillian White. But here's the big question. Is this fight really going to happen? Will Tyson Fury retire tomorrow? Or will the WBC change the rules last minute like they always do? Is this too good to be true? Ring, is this going to happen, this fight?
My gut says no because they're talking about doing a fight in England, right? Now in England, that's BT Sport. That's Frank Warren. Frank Warren don't got Dillian White money. He don't have it. So it creates a situation to where Frank won't offer him what he wants. Fight goes to purse bid. And then the question becomes, does Fury fight on DAZN? No fucking way, bro. No way. I'm not convinced. Like, I want it to happen, but my gut is like, yo, this fight got mad problems. It got problems in America. It has problems in the UK. I don't believe it'll happen. Why's Fury talking about retiring now? Why? He want to, why you gotta retire now that you gotta fight Dillian? Why?
Negotiation.
Yeah.
He wants that 80-20 split. That's why.
Yeah.
He doesn't want a 55-45 split. The only thing that makes me think that it might happen, Ring, is because many months ago, even before the Wilder fight, he tweeted out this image of his projected fights. And it was, believe it or not, Wilder 3, then White, then back-to-back fights with Joshua. I thought if it would have been hilarious that he put Usyk in there and trolled Joshua before the Usyk Joshua fight, but he put back-to-back fights with Joshua. And then after that, believe it or not, he actually put down
Chisora.
So it was Wilder, White, Joshua, Chisora. So I don't know. But in terms of the business side of things, the financials, it's very difficult to argue against the very high ring IQ of my man Julius there when it comes to that.
Well, let me just add to your point. The thing is, Joshua didn't come through the Usyk fight. He didn't come through. And a lot of people, they don't feel like he might come through the second one, right?
Yeah.
For Fury, the financial incentive to stay active has just fucking evaporated because you don't get the money with Usyk that you make with fucking Joshua. You don't get the same money for that guy.
No.
So to him, it's like, well, what the hell am I around here for? If he loses that rematch, there's no money for me. And I don't give a fuck about belts. Not real. Like, you think he give a fuck about them belts? Hell no.
That's why they're floating around Saudi Arabia as an option. You get
Calix,
that money.
Calix, you think this fight happens, brother?
I hope so. I was hoping Anthony Joshua, we would do the step aside money and we get straight to it. Joshua versus Usyk is going to play out the same way. I'm frustrated we're getting that again, but we are getting it again. It is a big fight out there in the spring, and if Fury versus White happens in the spring, that's back-to-back big heavyweight fights over there. It'll be huge, and then we could get to Fury. We can get to the inevitable, which is now Fury versus Usyk later on in the year. I was hoping we get straight to that, but not. One thing I'll bring up is a couple of years ago. I don't know if y'all caught this on the Joe Rogan show. Tyson Fury was on there. He said the toughest fight of his career was USS Cunningham. And the reason he brought up is because Cunningham was a smaller guy. He couldn't find him in there. I don't know if y'all remember the fight. I believe it was on NBC in New York.
NBC, yeah.
It was.
Cunningham caught him and dropped him in the second round.
I remember.
I think he got stopped in the seventh round by Fury. But he said he had all kind of fits, all kind of headaches against the smaller Cunningham.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure Fury has learned a lot since then, but Usyk, the smaller guy, much more technical, much more special boxer than USS Cunningham.
Southpaw.
It's intriguing to me. That fight
Also a
intriguing.
Capricorn. Also a Capricorn.
Also
like
a
Jake Paul.
Capricorn.
I'm Aquarius.
But
We'll
that's
see it.
the fight I want to get to. But the one thing with White that always, when I think about Fury versus White, we know Fury, he has a lot of tools in the bag. He does have an uppercut as well, especially for a tall guy. He throws it from a weird angle. I always go back to that punch that Povetkin landed against White that almost took White's head off. All right. And even though White was having a lot of success up until that point, I think Fury would stop White, but it'd be fun. It'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't think that fight should happen. For example, okay, Dylan White is a mandatory fight. Okay, but he should step away from this fight and let the unification for Undisputed World Championship be. Because, for example, Dylan White has nothing to show to Tyson Fury. He was knocked by Alexander Povetkin, an old Alexander Povetkin, and he was knocked out on a horrible way. So what's going to be Tyson Fury with this person? The same on a better and horrible way than Alexander Povetkin.
I don't think
so. That's what's going to happen. Dylan White and his promoter, they think that he hasn't a star there because he's Dylan White, but he was knocked out by an old man. So what he has to prove or to show to someone like Tyson Fury? Tyson Fury is a beast. He's yes, said it.
He's the best, Tyson Fury.
Tenemos que discutir porque Tyson Fury. Look, I like Tyson Fury as a boxer. I like his boxing. I like that he's ambidextrous, leads with the right, leads with the left. I love it. But I know what I see, and he doesn't like that fight, and he's never liked that fight. And then you add on what people have said about the sparring. I don't go off the sparring rumors, but there's something there. He dropped him several times in sparring, and that is verified. I see that Tyson Fury doesn't like guys that crowd him. He doesn't like guys that hit him to the body, and he doesn't like guys that crowd him. Now, Wilder's not going to do that. He needs to get full extension on the punch to generate power. Dillian White has a hell of a left hook. He took out Chisora that was beating him with that left hook. I don't think Fury likes that fight. Styles make fights, and Dillian has the style to give him a lot of problems. If Otto Verleen can do that to you, Otto fucking Verleen, yeah, Dillian White can give you problems, and I see the problems. He doesn't like that fight. I'm not saying he's going to lose.
Dillian too is he did avenge the loss too. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
D, does this fight happen? I know you've never really trusted Tyson Fury when he says he's going to fight somebody. So, what do you think? Can you trust him this time?
Well, first, I will say this before I say what I'm going to say. It is long overdue. It's one of those situations where can we just do the fight already? Like, can Dillian White just get a shot already, right? Like, even I'm saying that at this point. Like, it's like, can he just get a shot and that's it, you know? Because you can't keep somebody hanging on for, like, forever, you know? But I will say this. I honestly think it's a very easy fight for Tyson Fury. I got to disagree with Ring IQ. I think it's an easy fight. I think I know there's a lot of people that are very high on Dillian White. Like, I've noticed that. And look, I'm not saying he's a bad fight. He's a top 10 heavyweight in the world. That doesn't, I'm not saying he's terrible, but he just isn't what I think a lot of folks out there think he is. I mean, he got beat by Povetkin. He got knocked out. He did win the rematch, but this was an old Povetkin. He was struggling against Chisora. I mean, yes, he did knock him out. I felt he lost the first fight with Chisora, who's also a really good inside fighter that Fury, frankly, embarrassed in the rematch, you know? And I just think this will be a pretty lopsided fight. I think it goes decision. But even now, though, like, here's the thing. With Sugar Hill, like this is a different beast we're talking about here. You know? This is a different beast we're talking about. And I don't think, like, I saw this dude huffing and puffing in Saudi Arabia. Batista, he was out of shape, though. Okay. Well, you know, so Dillian White could have off nights, but can't Fury have an off night against Wallen? But yet he won most of those rounds. Like, everyone has off nights, right? But other fights that I just think too many of his fights have gone the distance with certain opponents that make me question his, like, all heavyweights have power. And I do think he punches harder than your average heavyweight. But I just don't think he's the devastating puncher that he's being made out to be. It's my opinion. I think Fury beats him. But to answer your question, B, I don't think it's going to happen.
I think Fury's going to retire.
I think Fury's going to drop the belt.
Yeah.
I think Fury's going to.
I think we're going to get Dillian White Wilder or something like that for the vacant belt.
Wilder's going to retire.
I think Wilder and Fury are going to retire.
You think he retires and they vacate the belt?
Wilder, look, y'all know I'm not big on Wilder, right? But I got to say this, right? Outside of the BS with negotiations and the ring stuff, he's a very likable guy. If you just take away the boxing, he's a very likable guy. He's very marketable. The camera loves him. I seen him do a TV show. The camera loves him. He is well spoken. He does project well. I heard, I don't know how true it is, that he might be Clubber Lang's son in the next installment of Rocky. That rumor's been floating around for months, maybe even a little over a year. If you're Wilder, right, you're not going to fight Fury again. What, I'm going to fucking fight Usyk, this Eastern Euro guy that most Americans don't know? What kind of money do I get doing that? Am I going to go to England to make money with Dillian? No, I'm not doing none of that. I'm out of here. If it's not Andy Ruiz next, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
He'll make money without boxing. I think he'll be
One
fine.
more point I want to add. I do believe Fury is good enough to take away White's hook, right? And if he does that, if Hook can't, like, what does White have?
Well, people also forget that Chisora was winning that rematch until the bullshit point deduction started to happen, and he got desperate because he thought he was losing. He got reckless. He got caught. He got dropped. But he was actually winning that fight, even on the official scorecards. And the referee got involved, got too handsy, got too meddlesome, and changed the direction and flow of that fight.
I thought he lost the Oscar Rivas fight. I thought at least a draw. Like, I thought that was a close fight.
I had him losing.
Hold on.
That was the real glove gate. That was.
I had him losing the Rivas fight. Go ahead, Ring.
I just want to say that my opinion on that fight isn't about Dillian. Dillian is flawed. He doesn't have the best chin, doesn't have the best gas tank, but he has the right style that Fury doesn't like. Fury don't like pressure. He wants to box. If he's not applying pressure or not boxing, he don't want to be pressured. The guys, McDermott, Nevin Pajic dropped him. Steve Cunningham dropped him. He's not all of a sudden perfect because he beat a guy that can't box. The only guy you've looked that great against in recent memory is a guy with one punch who can't box. When they put you in there with a decent Swede who could box, look what happened to you. I
thought he won most rounds on that fight. If you're talking about Wallin, I thought he won most rounds in that fight. I don't know.
I had that fight. I had that 117-111 for Fury.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that Fury lost.
No, I know.
I'm saying that
Ring. Can I just say this? And again, this is my opinion. I just think because he got cut, I think people really make that fight out to be worse than it was in terms of tactics.
I don't disagree with you.
I thought he almost knocked him out at the end.
I don't disagree with you, but I'll say that I've seen fights stopped for less than the cut that he had. If that wouldn't have been Tyson Fury with that cut, that fight gets stopped on cuts. If that wouldn't have been Tyson Fury. I saw Akavov get his fight stopped because too many jabs landed, and there were no cuts. He's still throwing punches. Andre's landed too many jabs. Stop the fight. They stopped the fight in the 12th. Now Fury's got blood all on the side of his face. They don't stop the fight.
That fight would have been stopped by 9 out of 10 referees. There's no question about it. I agree with that. He was lucky. He was very lucky.
Fury is not, and I'm not knocking Fury. He's great, but I'm just saying that none of these guys are perfect. Joshua's not perfect. Dillian White's not perfect, and fucking Fury's not perfect because you beat a guy who can't box. All you did was beat Wilder. Ooh, you did that last year.
Well, to your point though, Ring, they have, even John Fury, they have been really poo-pooing this fight with Dillian White for the longest time. So
that's all I'm saying.
There's got to be a reason. There could be a reason that there's got to be something that maybe.
But John Fury was poo-pooing the Wilder rematches. I mean, and that happened. So I don't know one way or the other. The only person who actually knows is Fury himself.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful that it happens.
Yeah. I am too, regardless of who wins.
Well,
there's only one thing for sure with Tyson Fury is that we don't know for sure.
Tyson Fury, we know that one too.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for a great show. This was a great show, great topics tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I'm going to pass it around. Everyone just shout out their social media where we can find you, Maestro.
Well, I'm on, I started out on Instagram recently. Same handle, Maestro Amilcar. El Negrito causando Hispanics causing panic, led by El Único Capitan, D-Style Boxing himself, the quarterback of this shit. All right. You can catch me Mondays on Mano a Mano Live with mi hermano Kenny T. Tuesdays on my new channel, Pro Smoke with Maestro A. Okay, I go live with Joe Habib for our political current event show called Sucker Punch. And then I'm back as much as possible on all things HCP. I'm supporting everybody on this channel, including the newest members of HCP. I'm talking about the Shoe Shine. I'm talking about Dave from the 408 and Philly Drew Irish. We got the best network of boxing content happening right here. Supported, obviously, by brothers like Ring IQ, okay, and the newest member, extended member, Boxing Dev. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Okay, mucho gusto. And
Yeah.
I'm out.
Boxing Dev, where can everyone find you?
Thank you so much. Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Boxing Dev, and on Twitter, Lucia Malena DV. I tweet in English, I tweet in Spanish, I upload many videos in Spanish, I subo videos en español, en inglés. So let's follow me and just listen the best. Thank you so much for inviting me to think about me.
Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure. Ring, as always, thank you so much for stopping by. Shout out your channel. Shout out where everyone can find you.
You can find me IQ News on Twitter, Ring IQ, YouTube here on Facebook, Ring IQ Boxing Memes on Instagram. Beeb, always a pleasure. D Styles, always a pleasure. Cali, always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, Ring. Calix, thank you so much for stopping by. Where can everyone find you, brother?
Calix Boxing 2.0 pushing in on 5,000 subs. Hopefully Power Punchers will be up Monday night. Been a rough last quarter because of hurricane knocking my internet out. Now it's pool contractors knocking my internet out multiple times. So hopefully we're up and running good, and Monday night Power Punchers will be back.
Your inner wires need that Mayweather defense or Whitaker defense. You know what I mean?
That's right. Thanks for having me, y'all.
Thank you, Calix. El Capitán, ¿qué pasa?
Mira, vamos a hablar de los hispánicos causando pánico. HCP. Let me just say this, man. Shout out to Joe Habib. Happy birthday. You know, there you go. To you. Everybody. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Joe Habib. Happy birthday to you. D-Style Boxing is the name. D-Style _boxing for Instagram. Check out HCP Podcast every Tuesday. We have the cast from the new movie, The Devil's Ring. Check out that movie if you get a chance, by the way. And, of course, the Roundtable, the flagship show of HCP. I learned a lot of things today. I learned that Tank is a special fighter. I learned that, that's one of the things I learned. But nonetheless, I know I get fiery at times. It's the way I am. That's my nature, okay? Soy el dragón, and that's the way it is, man. Shout out to all of you, man. Who's down with HCP? Everybody, throw a jab at the like button. I'm out, brother.
Thank you so much. All right, Armando Trulakis says, keep up the great work, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes. Thank you, Freddie Mars. Appreciate that. Happy birthday wish. And we'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone. Stay safe.